Spun to Run. In the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, he defeated a loaded field that included multiple Grade 1 winners Omaha Beach and Improbable. His brilliant speed figures were among the fastest of any 3-year-old at a mile or more. And he hails from the legendary Danzig sire line. Multiple graded stakes winner, millionaire, Breeders' Cup champion, Spun to Run, standing at Gainesway.
Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer, taking a look at the Kentucky Derby Prep Recap for the Holy Bull Stakes. And our Kentucky Derby Prep Recaps are presented by Gainesway, home of the legendary stallion Tappet. So we kick off the road to the Derby in South Florida with the Holy Bull Stakes, Mike. And as we break from the gate, the complexion of the race immediately changes when the number 4 Simplification, the expected pace, misses the break.
Yeah, he just broke a little flat-footed in here. He's the number 4. He's at the back of the pack now. Stuck 3 wide. Didn't really see any real big trouble for him there, Dan. He just didn't get out of the gate very well. It left the other horse who, was almost sure to show speed in here, the number 8, White Abarrio, up close. And surprisingly, Galt, the well-bred Bill Mott 3-year-old lightly raced, he shows speed from the rail.
Junior Alvarado does take advantage of that inside post with the short run to the first turn and sets a reasonable pace with Galt. But as you see, White Abarrio and Tyler Gaffalione in a very comfortable position in second. Creeping into 5th position right now is the race favorite Mo Donegal. Didn't get a great start in here, Mike. Any visible excuses? You're going to see him run on at the very end of this race.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to wind up giving him a trip excuse in here. Except, that he's off the pace at Gulfstream Park, which can sometimes work against you. He just works really hard in here, Dan, down over behind horses here into the far turn. I guess that's not ideal, but he was just always working pretty hard in here. He doesn't pick up with much of a run here around the second turn, and it kind of feels like he's going to be nowhere at the finish. And then once they straighten away through the stretch, he comes with the best finish in the race, but it's way too late.
Short stretch at Gulfstream for 1 1/16 races. White Abarrio has taken over the lead. There's a big advantage. You see Simplification on the outside in the yellow saddlecloth. This horse had to make up a lot of ground after that awkward beginning. And although he does not change leads in the stretch, he's finishing up okay, only to be outfinished for second, only to outfinish Mo Donegal for second.
Yeah, he just holds on for a second there. Plenty of excuses, I guess, to go around for Simplification, if only because, just sort of felt like he was supposed to be part of the pace in here, and that, getting that kind of a trip may very well have, made him a strong contender to win this thing, Dan. I don't know. Overall, I guess he ran fine considering the trouble he had early. To me, he was not finishing well at all in that race. He did not change leads. And so the question remains for Simplification, whether you like him or not going forward. How far does he want to go?
Mo Donegal, the winner of the Remsen, we know he can get 1 1/8. This was his first start of the year. He kind of ran the Dr. Post race in the Pacific Classic where he was kind of in the race and then he backed all the way out of it. And then he came with a belated run. He just seemed to run in spots.
Yeah, he did. I mean, again, he was just sort of, always working hard in this race. Just sort of felt like Irad Ortiz just had to constantly ride this horse along just to get him to stay interested in the running. Around the second turn, again, it looked like maybe he was going to go nowhere, but he did finally level off in the stretch of this race, and he was putting in a pretty good finish at the end. And I mean, a little disappointing that he was, sort of a no-threat third at the end of the day here at a short price, but I still feel like this horse has plenty of talent, plenty of potential. If I was Pletcher, I might get him out of Gulfstream for his next start.
Cajun's Magic was making his first start since September, and his first start against really top competition. And all things considered, it was not a bad effort. He was in the race early in a tracking position. He was still in contention at the quarter pole, and then he flattened out. While I don't think he's a Kentucky Derby contender, I think he showed enough in this race that he could move on to the next one and will be a big price in that race as well.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what they decide to do with him. They could certainly, take one more step on the Derby trail and just hope that he really improves in that race. It's interesting, Dan, because when you go back and watch the start of this race, obviously Simplification didn't break well. Cajun's Magic did break well, and they actually, it almost looked like headed to the first turn. They could have put him on the lead if they wanted to, and they didn't want to. They wanted to, sort of put him over behind the leaders. To me, he sat a great trip in this race. He was driving into the stretch, still in with a chance in this spot, and he just wasn't nearly good enough. But certainly they could go on with this horse and try one more.
Tis the Bomb, one of the disappointments in this race, 9-2 on the morning line. He had one on dirt in the past. His big moment came in the Breeders' Cup last year when second in the juvenile turf. Was he exposed as a turf horse in this race?
I think he certainly was. I mean, it is Gulfstream Park, so you might want to take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. But listen, he broke fine in this race. He got outpaced almost immediately, could not keep up. You could just see he was under pressure when this field was still on the backstretch, and he wasn't going to run. And he was just all done off the quarter pole in this race. So, we'll see if McPeak wants to try him one more time, maybe at a different track, but he looks like a turf horse for now.
Giant Game was the third choice in this race based on his third place finish in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He was in contention on the backstretch entering the turn, and he just stopped. I believe his connection said he displaced his pallet.
That was the report I heard as well. We'll see if he can bounce back, out of that. It was just a very disappointing performance for this horse who, ran really, really well at the Breeders' Cup at the end of last year. He got into a good position early in this race, Dan, and listen, it almost did look like something went wrong because he just completely stopped before this field got to the quarter pole.
Let's take a look at White Abarrio, a grandson of Gainesway Super Stallion Tappet. He's by race day. We'll talk about his pedigree more in the DRF Pedigree Report later this week. 97 Beyer speed figure, Mike. This is a horse that earned a serious number in this race. He's got tactical speed. He's obviously well connected with Safi Joseph. Are you a believer, or do you have to see it again?
I'll probably want to see one more, if only because I'm not trying to take anything away from White Abarrio, Dan. I thought he ran really well in here. This is a horse who showed a lot of potential in winning his first two starts as well. I thought he looked really good, breaking his maiden and then winning his entry-level allowance at a one-turn mile. So I do think he has talent. To me, this race is just, kind of hard to evaluate because while he got an absolutely perfect trip in this race, it felt like some of the others didn't. Yet a couple of horses who looked like they could be contenders who didn't show up at all. And you had Mo Donegal, the favorite, just sort of looking like maybe he didn't handle the track and running when it was way too late. I think all of those things sort of conspired to make White Abarrio look really good in here. And maybe, in fact, he is really good. But I'll want to see one more as they stretch him out again.
Let's take a look at the prices for the Holy Bull. 6-1 minor upset. White Abarrio, $14 to win. Simplification, second after the poor start. Mo Donegal gets third for Todd Pletcher. White Abarrio wins this, and it looks like he's on to the Florida Derby.